Hello everyone and welcome to Year 5, Block 5, Lesson number 4 for students studying the CEM course, and today we're going to be going over maths. My name is Luke Lloyd and I'm looking forward to going through the lesson with you. This is our lesson plan, so just very briefly we're going to cover a range of questions, and some of the things we need to do are algebra, volume, fractions, interpreting questions on space and shape, temperature, interpreting tables, ratio, range, and some word problems. We're going to look at a variety of things. So, in terms of the objectives today, we're going to answer multiple choice numerical questions under time conditions. I think it's the time conditions that are really going to be a bit of a challenge today, and revise techniques and strategies used to solve different types of maths questions. So we will cover some of the things. What you'll need today is this book here, which is your 11 plus for CEM Maths Quick Practice Test book, and it looks like this. And so I suggest you take a moment to get this out, also a nice clean pencil, and also maybe a jotter, just because it's always nice to have a bit of extra space to do some workings, be it a jotter or a blank piece of paper. In terms of what we need to know for today, so we will need to know how to work out the volume of a cube. You'll need to know the properties of 3D shapes. You'll need to know how to work out the range. You'll need to know how to solve ratio questions. And you'll need to know the days of the week. So obviously, look, I've given you some of these here. So it's width times length times height. You need to know edges, vertices, faces. The range is the largest number, take away the smallest number. In terms of these, I suggest you take a moment now, just have a think about what you do and don't know. The ones I can also give points on. So in terms of ratio, what does it mean? So obviously, the order is important. So if I had the ratio of 2 to 1, for every 2 of these, there's half as many of these. In the question, the order matters vitally. So for example, if it said the ratio of boys to girls, and the question said boys first, girls second, you would always know that the first number then is boys and second is girls, or vice versa. In terms of if they ask for simplification or multiplication, from here, for example, you might have had 4 to 2. And so what we've done in much the same way of getting into fractions, you divided both numbers by the same. So just some general tips about ratio. Anything else I can offer? Days of the week, I'm sure you all can work out yourselves. If not, you have to wait for the end when I go through the answers. So, in terms of here, this is our lesson. So this is test 1 in the example. So in terms of how to answer it, it's shown very nicely all the way through. In terms of rounding, I will just really quickly recap my methodology in rounding because it's something that some people can struggle with. So round 32,134 to the nearest 100. First thing I always do is highlight out what I'm rounding to. In this case, the nearest 100 means to this 1. So this 1 is either going to change by going up or it's going to stay the same. And those are the two options. And I think just thinking that through at the beginning, this number either increases or stays the same. It helps avoid making some silly mistakes. The number that decides it is the number that's next to it, which is this 3. And I have to ask myself the question, is the 3 larger than 5 or less than 5? In this case, as it's less than 5, my number stays the same. It doesn't round up. I don't say use the words round down, because I think that's confusing, because some people then make the number decrease. Well, that's not the options. Either the number increases or it stays the same. In which case you'll see here the correct answer, 32,100, because it stayed the same, and then everything after that becomes a 0. And that's how you do rounding. So Ron, this is the test that I would like you all to complete. Obviously, you can't see it based off mine. Is it blurry? That's intentional. It's just to show you what everything looks like in totality. You need to be using your books, particularly important with maths because you need space to do that all-important working out. Right, I'm going to set the top clock for 5 minutes. What I suggest you do, obviously this video, I'm not going to sit here and wait for the 5 minutes. I'm going to click play and I'm going to come back in about 5 seconds to start going through the answers. So what I need you to do on your end, please, is to pause the video, find a timer, time yourself for 5 minutes, and then come back and watch the explanations. Really good luck, everyone, and I'll see you for you guys in 5 minutes. Right, everyone, welcome back. So I'm about to start going through the questions. This is how I will do it. So I'm going to work through bit by bit, and we'll see how we get on. Right, let's go through now the answers for test 1, page 4. So, first question, we've got an equation, and we've got to try and make the left-hand side of the equation equal the right-hand side, and that's by manipulating this value of x. So first thing I want to do is work out what these two numbers simplify down to, what they work out to. So if I have got 7, 4, 3, take away 4, 3, 9, I need to know what I'm left with. So in order to do this, I have to carry my numbers over, so that 4 becomes a 3. My 3 then can borrow the 10 from the 30 to give it 13. then 13 take away 9, and that gives us 4. We've then got 30 take away 30. Notice how I say 30 take away 30, not 3 take away 3. That's because these are 30s. They are in the tens column, so it's 3 tens, 30, which leaves 0 tens. And I've then got 700 take away 400, which leaves me with 300. So the answer is 304. But now I have to ask myself, 304 plus what is going to get me to 782? One way to do this that's perhaps easiest is to rebalance my equations by removing the 304 from this side. Whatever I'm left with will be what I need to add on to. So let me go and reset this up. So I want to now do 782 take away 304 and again I can't do 2 take away 4, so I have to borrow from the 10, so that 80 becomes 70. But now I can borrow a 10 to put next to 2 to make it a 12. 12 take away 4 is 8. 70 take away 0 is still 70. And then 700 take away 300 is 400. So 478. Put a nice clear line through it. Right, now I'm going to have to rub this out so I can do the next question. But if you need to see the working out again, remember I was trying to find out what went in this gap. Pause it here. Right, there it goes. There. So let's change the colour. So next one, a cube has a width of 5 meters. What is the volume of the cube? For this, you need to know that the volume you times all the lengths. In much the same way that area equals base times height. The next extension of that is that volume equals base times height times width. So it's all 3 directions. And so for this next one, what we need to realize is that since it's a cube, although it only gives us one side, all the lengths will be the same. So we have 5 times 5 times 5, which, fun enough, is the same as 5 cubed. That's actually where cube numbers and square numbers come from, the fact that cubes and squares give these, and both of these answers equal 125. Because 5 times 5 is 25, and 25 times 5 is 125. In terms of your units, really important. I nearly did it here, look, nearly caught me out. But that's centimeters, and our answer was meters. So you need to make sure that whatever units they put in are the units that come out. And with these, I've given it away here. Here are the indices rules. So if you're not sure, it's meters cubed. Nearly caught me out with my units. Always worth checking. Again, if you want this information, pause it here or rewind the video. So now number 3. What fraction of the names of the days in the week begin with the letter T? Oh, good question. So you need to know first off how many days in the week are there in total, because that's what it's going to be out of. And there are 7 days in total. So whatever I'm looking for is my answer out of 7. And I'm going to run through. So I'm going to do a little tally. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that means there's now 2 out of 7. And that's the answer. Now I do just want to check, can I simplify it? Nope, 2, 7, I can't divide anything by the same number because 7 is actually prime. So 2 out of 7 is my final answer. But it's always worth with a fraction just to go back and just double check, to think in your head, can I simplify it? Yes or no. How many more edges does a cube have than a sphere? Great question. With this, it's about knowing what first off an edge is. And luckily, we've been given a cube here to draw. So an edge is this bit, is this straight line. So you have an edge, you have the vertices, and obviously with a cube, you don't have any. So if you go through and count 1, 2, 3, there's one at the back, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 at the bottom, the answer is 12. And these are all the answers gone through again. And the reason is a sphere doesn't have any edges. Although you could argue it's got one surface, it's got no hard edges. You couldn't cut yourself on a cube, sorry, on a sphere, because there's no pointy ends. So again, I'm going to work through 5, 6, and 7. Do my working out in the top corner. Let's change to red. That sounds nice to me. So, in this one, we have some algebra. What is the value of j? So first thing we need to do whenever we see brackets is to expand them. The algebra rule I'm using here is the fact that whenever I have a number without anything immediately next to it, I have to know that that means times. And for me, I always like to draw in a little times down here just to remind myself of what's going on and what's where and why. Times there. So it's 7 times j and 7 times 8. The way I like to indicate this, I'm going to do an arrow for each of them. So 7 times j means we're going to have 7 lots of j, or 7j. And then we've also got, we'll do it again, 7 times 8, slightly easier, plus, because it's positive, 56. And then this is equal to 63. So that's the step 1, which is to expand our brackets. Let me just move that where I've got the working out space. We then need to take away from both sides to leave us with just the j's. So I may write that as by minusing 56 from this side and minusing 56 from this side. And that means now we have 7 lots of j are equal to, I always try and keep my equals in the same place because it's easier then to follow the working. 63 minus 56, I have to borrow from the 60 to mean we've got 13 take away 6, which is 7. And then 5 take away 5, just leaving with 7. And if 7 lots of j equals 7, 1 lot of j, you probably already know, but essentially you need to divide both sides by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. So j is equal to 1. Final answer. Let's just check. Oh, question 5-1. Good to know. For question 6, let me just get my pen back. For question 6, it is minus 15 degrees in Iceland and 34 degrees in Qatar. What is the difference? So we're going from 34 all the way down to 0, first off. Shouldn't really do minus 0, I think it's a bit more clear. To go from 34 to 0, and then how do I get from 0 to minus 15? I always draw mine vertically, like a thermometer. That's how I've been raised. But of course, you could also draw them from left to right. That's fine. But I recommend you include this 0 step because it makes it much clearer and much easier to work out. So to get from 34 to 0, that's 34. And to that, I'm going to add, from getting from 0 to minus 15 is another 15. So I'm going to add 15. So my answer is 34 plus 15, which gives me, if I put it in there, I'll try it underneath, 39 degrees. Sorry, 49 degrees. Oh, that's not a rubber, that's a rubber. 49 degrees. Oh, something very strange has happened. It's cutting out the middle. And with 49 degrees, it's important to realize that difference is positive. So it's just 49 degrees. It's not minus 49 degrees. And it's not because you're going from one to the other. The other way to do this, and I'm going to show it to you because I think it's slightly more advanced, but it's a good rule to learn. The difference means take away. So the difference between 2 and 5 would be 5 take away 2. You take them away from each other. If we were to do 34 take away minus 15, a double negative in maths becomes a positive. So that also equals 49. And what you would do is you would rewrite it as plus. And that's a rule you have to learn. It's one of your addition rules. So you can get there both ways. Question 7. What is the range of this set of numbers? Well, first of all, what is the range? Range is the biggest. Take away the smallest. In fact, I'm going to embarrass myself online by just going through my song, which is how I remember the range and all of the types of average. So, mode is the most, median's in the middle, mean is the average, bom bom, range is the biggest, take away the smallest, bum diddly bum ting. And I was taught that, I think, in probably year 9 by my lovely maths teacher, and it stuck with me forevermore. So I recommend listening back to that selfie a couple of times, writing it out, or even going online, learning a song. Once you've got a song for them, you won't miss them out. So there it was. Range is the biggest. Take away the smallest. So I need to find my biggest number. Biggest to me looks like 98. Not seeing anything bigger. 12 is quite small. Anything smaller? 2. So if 98 is the biggest and 2 is the smallest, 98 minus 2 is 96. Let's just check our answers. So we've got 1, 49 degrees, and 96. Awesome. Next page. So this one, let's just tidy it up again. So I've got a bit more working out room. So 8. This table shows the schedule followed by 2 buses. How many minutes does it take bus 1 to go from stop B to stop D? So there's B and there's D first off. But we're also dealing with bus 1. So a little dot time dealing with bus 1. So it arrives, it leaves from stop B at 8:39, and it gets to stop D at 8:52. That's interpreting my bus timetable. Don't need anything else? No, I don't. So now I have to work out the difference. And to go from 39 to 52, well, I'm going to just do it very simply in my head now. To go from 39 to 40 is 1. To go from 40 to 50 is 10. And then to go from 50 to 52 is 2. So 1 plus 10 plus 2 means I have 13 minutes. So hopefully you can see how I did that. I went to 40, that was easy. I went from 40 to 50 because that was also easy. And I did the rest. And by easy, I mean it was small and succinct. So really, I suppose we're adding these up to get my answer of 13. Right, not too bad so far. Number 9. Andy and Bella share £540 in the ratio 4 to 5. So first off, I'm always going to do with ratio is going to write out A and B. Why have I picked A and B? Well, because that's their names. Again, it's for me, unless the question gives it to you, it's for me to decide. Could have been lowercase a and b, could have been x and y. But I think unless the names are the same, I would just go with the first letter of their name. Ooh, what does that mean there? A and B. And then I have to know what are their ratios? Well, it says 4 to 5. Andy came first, then Bella. That means you have to follow suit. It's really important. So we've got 4 to 5. Next, how much more does Ella, that's going to become really important. How much more does Bella receive than Andy? In order to work that out, I have to work out what both their shares are. In order to work out what both their shares are, I need to work out what one share is. So one share. And one share is going to be the total number of shares divided by the total amount of money. So it's going to be 4 plus 5, which equals 9. And that's how many shares there are in total. And it's then going to be 540 divided by 9. Now, a few ways you can do this. I'm going to show us the bus stop way, I think. So if we do 9 into 540, yeah, I keep writing 450. 540. Let me just, because I've essentially rewritten the same thing. Remove that, give myself some space. 9s into 5, do they go? Nope, so 0. 9s into 54, do they go? Yes. Which times table and how many times? They go into the 6 times table. And then 9s into 0 go 0 times. And again, you could have got there in one, so by just covering the 0 with your hand and saying 9s into 54 goes 6, then adding the zeros back on. But it's important to be able to see the bus stop method, I think, in use. So now, one share is equal to 60. That's what we've worked out, because the total number of shares is 9, so we've split the total amount into the 9 shares, so one of those shares is now 60. And why is that really important, really useful? Well, let me just move this to the side, so... Ooh. My smart logo is behaving very badly. There you go. That was my working out. That was how we worked out the share. If I know one share is 60, what will 4 shares be? Well, it's going to be 4 lots of 60. 4 times 60, so we do 4 times 4 is times by 2 times by 2, so we'll do 120, 240. And also, if I just worked out what 4 shares, 5 shares is 1 more, so I can just add another 60. I have 300. With ratio, so important you always do this check. I've now supposedly split £540 into two numbers. If I add these two numbers together, I should end up where I was if I've split it properly. And yes, 3 plus 2 is 5, so that's 500, and 4 plus 0, 540. So I have split it correctly. Just doing that brief check, just in your head to make sure you've split things properly in the ratios is invaluable, really useful. So now I've got the amount of money that I split it into. So how much more does Bella get than Andy? Well, the difference is one share, so the difference is 60. So final answer 60. Again, take a moment to pause that. You might have to re-watch that if you're not sure. That's fine. Remember, it's on YouTube. You can watch as many times as you want. So, number 10. I think this is potentially one of the harder questions. So, Ben has colour balloons at his birthday party. There are twice as many red balloons as blue balloons. There are 3 times as many blue balloons as yellow balloons. And there are half as many pink balloons as yellow balloons. If there are 12 pink balloons, how many red balloons are there? So we sort of have to work backwards on this. So the place to start, first off, is to write down 12, because that's the information they've given us. So there are 12 pink balloons. Now, how do pink balloons relate to anything? Well, there are half as many pink balloons as yellow balloons. So if there are half as many pink as yellow, that means there's twice as many yellow. So there's 12 pink, but in terms of yellow, we've got twice that number, 24. So now how do we relate that thing? So there are 3 times as many blue balloons as yellow balloons. So there are 3 times the number of blue as there are yellow. So if there's 24, in order to get to blue, I need to have 3 times that number. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to do 4 times 3, which is 12, 1 and 2, and then 3 times 2, which is 6, plus 1, so there's 72 balloons. And then blue, there are twice as many red balloons as blue balloons. So red is going to be twice this number. So I'm going to double the 2 and double the 7. Good golly. Now with this, I think it was really important to get to the bottom of the question and then work backwards, because if you're going to try and sort of set it up as algebra and work in reverse, it's going to take a lot longer, because trying to relate, there's twice as many blue, it will get quite complicated. So I think in this one, reading the whole thing and going from bottom to top, working out accordingly is your easiest way. Let's just check our answers. So these are what we had. We had 13, 60, and 144. And that was the test. So really well done if you got that far. What I'm now going to run through is how to interpret a Venn diagram. And I'm going to just do this with you now, so let's make this nice and big. There's one really important question, I think, for understanding a Venn diagram, and that is to be able to tell me, for example, how many people in total like grapes? How many people in total like grapes? Have a think about it. I'm going to tell you now, it's all of the numbers added up. And this is the thing that people can get confused on. So it would be 59 plus 29 plus 19 plus 32. And that understanding, the fact that all of these people like grapes, they're just in different groups, helps. Because now I can then ask you, okay, well then how many people like grapes and like apples? Well, for that one, let's do it in green. If you like grapes and apples, you're in these two groups. So it would be 32 plus 19 added together. How many people only like grapes, bananas, and apples? Well, the people who are only in that group would be 19. So it's understanding that everything within the circle applies to the category. So if I wanted to know the total number of grapes, as I say, I just add up everything within the circle. If you want to be exclusive, I do recommend doing this, drawing on this. So how many people only like grapes and bananas? So you have to be in the I like them both category. That's 29. How many people like just grapes and bananas? It's this. So that only is what separates out the people who also like apples. Because, of course, in this case, you could like grapes, bananas, and apples. That's what that middle group is. But that first one, really just like for me, if you can answer that, it shows me you understand everything in the circle, because people get all sorts of tempted. They start, doing 59, taking away 29, taking. That's not how it works. You're either in different categories. One last question I will ask: how many people only like grapes? It's this number here, because 59 people just like grapes, 29 like grapes and bananas, 32 like grapes and apples, 19 like all of them. Oh, I've just spotted it. How many people don't like grapes, don't like bananas, and don't like apples? Well, it's anyone who's outside the box, outside the area. So 12 people don't like any of them. Right, let's actually now answer the question. Now we've gone over just a few sort of hypothetical questions they can answer. But again, if you were following that, I think it's really useful. It means if you can understand it comfortably, you've done really well. So use the diagram to help answer the questions in this text. Write the correct answer in the box provided. Oh, well, there you go. I've talked over a few options. Maybe I've given some answers today. We'll find out. In this next exam, we've got 3 minutes, so I'm going to set 3 minutes on my clock. I'm going to click play. Of course, on the actual video, it'll only be a couple of seconds. You guys need to pause the video here, find a timer, time yourself for 3 minutes, and then come back. Right, good luck. Right, guys. I'm going to start going through the questions now, so hopefully you're ready. This is the Venn diagram we need, and here are some questions to go through. Right, let's run through these questions. So, how many students like apples and grapes, but not bananas? So let's find. We've got apples, grapes, but not bananas. This section here. So 32. How many more students like only apples than liked all three? So only apples is this section. All three is this section. So how many more? That's a difference question. So the difference is going to be 42, take away 19. So we've then got, I would imagine really, taking away 20, then adding back one on. So if we take away 20, you get to 22, add one back on, 23. How many students like grapes? Classic question. It's all of these numbers we did before. So let's go through. It's going to be, oh, sorry, there was an answers page. Let's just quickly put those to the side. I'm going to do that for us. 32, 23. And I said everyone who likes grapes is everyone in this group here. So it's 59. Ooh, so rubbish 5. 59 plus 29. 59, 29. So 19 is next. Plus 32. Which equals 139. Let's move this out of the way, give myself some more room. What is the ratio of students who like both grapes and apples, but not bananas, to students who liked bananas and grapes? Right, let's first get the numbers written out. So, apples, grapes, got apples, grapes, but not bananas. That's 32, we worked that out. 2 students who liked bananas and grapes. So bananas and grapes is everyone in this group here. Because you've got to remember these people, these 19, also, they still like bananas and grapes. There's no not. So let's do that. 29 plus 19. Again, if I'm just doing my head, I would add on 20 and then take 1 away. That's the same as adding on 19. So 29 plus 20 is 49. Take away 1, 48. And that's our ratio. But one thing with the ratio is really important. You always simplify. So you would not just leave your answer like this. And I think partly the clue is if you look, the boxes are not that big. So I think that was the hint. How do we simplify? Well, you can get there in multiple steps, a bit like fractions, by finding the highest common factor and dividing them both. But just to show you that it works, and you can do it in multiple steps, dividing them both by any factor, even if it's not the highest, will still work. So I'm going to divide them both by 2. So I'm dividing both sides by 2, which will give me on this side 16, and this side 24. And maybe then I spot another factor. Oh yeah, look, both of these can be divided by 4. So that gives me 4. And that gives me 6. And both of these can be divided by 2 again. To get a final answer of 2 to 3. For those who are interested, if you want to go there in one step, what is the highest common factor? Well, if you divided them both by 2 and 4 and 2, so if you divide them both by 8, you'd get there in one go. It's not true. If you divide them both by 16, you'd get there in one go. Because there are 2 16s and 3 16s. Right, if 312 students took part in the survey, what is the value of P? Oh my goodness, right. Well, this one, slightly longer to work out. I think I'm going to set the working out for you so you can follow it through. I need some space here. So the total is 312. So to that, I'm going to have to take away every value. So I'm going to first off take away 12, 300. Then I'm going to take away, what's a nice big number? Then I'll take away 73. So I take away 73, I end up with 227. Then I'm going to take away the 27s. I can take away, what's close? Well, I can take away 29. So that's going to be 198. So we're left with 8. Is it 8 so I can take away? No. Well, I can take away 42 quite easily. So I'm going to take away 100. So 42 is going to be 56. Then I'm going to take away anything that ends in a 6. No, sadly not. I'm going to take away 32. So 124. Then I'm going to take away 19. So you've got take away 20, which is 104, add on 1, so 105. Then I'm going to take away 59, and for that I'm going to take away 50. And we're doing 2 steps, so take away 50 first, which gets me to 55. Then I'm going to take away 9, which is going to be the same as take away 10, 45 plus 1, 46. So, final answer, oh god, got there, 46. So notice how in terms of my working out, I didn't set it out as multiple equations, because part of what we know, I'm sure you'll have noticed, is that you've only had 3 minutes, and that was quite a tough sum. So although here it's not very proper, I've not written my minuses, I've done some quite efficient working out, and that's something that I suppose I should have highlighted. The efficiency of working out is really important in these exams, as well as accuracy. So your math teacher in a math lesson might be saying, actually, no, always show every single step you're working. Well, here we have to be as quick as we can while also being as accurate. And so I think this is the best way of doing that. Right. Whew. Homework. So that was quite a tough lesson in terms of how to do each question. Hopefully I've gone through it in a nice amount of detail for you. This is the homework for week 1 and 2. Again, just as a note, guys and girls, it is 2 columns, week 2, week 3. This will become available this time next week, sort of from next Saturday. And again, it's within this book in terms of the homework, so it's all within here. We'll give worked examples for these 3. But again, please remember, all the answers are in this. So actually, once you've done it, since Mum and Dad are going to have to help with marking anyway, you might want to just hand it over and say, Mum and Dad, here's some homework for you. Please, please, please mark it for me. And that'll be lovely. Right, guys, thank you so much. Really enjoyed that lesson. Hopefully it's quite valuable to you. And I'll see you, if not, in the live lessons for some feedback and some questions. All the best. Bye.